Step 2 of our application setup is going to bring in TypeScript. Now, TypeScript has a lot of benefits. Those of us that come from an object-oriented style background can notice classes are really familiar to us. TypeScript also lets us do some cool things like extending and implementing some classes. We also have type checking, which is really good when we're working on a large team. It can make our applications safer, and TypeScript will throw errors whenever we don't want a certain type or parameter to be passed. For instance, if we wanted a string in one place, we tell TypeScript this should be a string, and if a number gets passed, TypeScript will throw an error. Familiarity is another really great thing about TypeScript. If you've gone to CoffeeScript and worked with that, you'll notice that a lot of the syntax is going to be pretty different from what you already know in vanilla JavaScript. TypeScript is really just JavaScript with some extra stuff on top, so it can seem very familiar. Editor support. Since TypeScript is open source, there's lots of editor support across all major editors. And on top of editor support, TypeScript has some very, very powerful ways to show you errors and code hinting across your application. TypeScript is also a superset of JS, so if you really just want to stick to JavaScript, then you can totally do that. Since we're working with ES6 features, we're going to need a transpiler to transpile that ES6 code down to ES5 so that our browsers can manage it, and TypeScript does that job for us. So it's up to you if you want to use the extra benefits of TypeScript or just use it as the main things that we need from it and a transpiler. Let's bring TypeScript into our project. Back in the command line, let's close down our light server. We'll do npm install. We'll save TypeScript and a package called typings, which is a package that TypeScript uses to understand how external libraries are used. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the TypeScript sections. Now that we have TypeScript, we're going to need to create two files. We need a tsconfig.json, and this will be the TypeScript config. We also need a typings.json, and that will be the typings config. Back in our editor, we'll go into tsconfig first. We're going to pass in compiler options. The target is going to be ES5, and that will mean that our ES6 code is going to be compiled down to ES5. Module is CommonJS. Module resolution is Node, and this is so that we can go look in the Node modules folder if we have any module resolutions that we need. Do we want to create source maps? And that's a true. Now we're going to talk about decorators a little bit, and it's easier to see them when they're in action when we build our Angular 2 applications. Decorators are a simple way to add metadata to a function for our applications. What this really means is that we can make Angular 2 applications and make our code very readable when we're building them. We'll see a lot of that in action when we start building. For now, we're going to emit decorator metadata and set that to true. We'll remove comments and set that to false. And this is just a TypeScript config here. All right, that's everything we need to set up and configure TypeScript. All right, we'll clear everything out really quickly. And then to use typings, we're going to install it. And we need the global tool, so install typings that way. I already have it, but go ahead and install it if you don't. Then we can run typings, install. And this is a really telling way to understand what typings does. We'll do dt core.js, dt jasmine, and dt node. Save global. Typings basically is going to tell TypeScript all about these packages here. That way TypeScript can give us things like code hinting and tell us what methods are in whichever libraries that we need to use. Install that. All right, let's look at our typings file now. And we brought in core.js, Jasmine, and Node into this new typings folder. The last thing we'll do for TypeScript setup And I know this is getting a little bit long. Just bear with me here. We'll go into package.json. We'll create some new scripts. We'll do TypeScript, and we'll run the TypeScript compiler. We'll do one to watch, so we can watch for files, and if any TypeScript files changed, we will run TypeScript. And with the watch flag, and then typings. And then one quick one that we add is post install. So after everything's installed, if we don't already have that typings folder in the sidebar there, we'll run typings install. And that's good so that if you pull down and clone this repo on another computer and you just run npm install, all of these things will get installed for us. The last thing we'll do for setup is bring in a package called concurrently, which is going to run light server and also TypeScript watch for us. Since we want to run both of those packages at the same time, we're going to bring in a package that allows us to do this and run two packages together. All right, just hold on real quick. This is the last thing we'll do for this setup. We'll create a command called start. We'll run the TypeScript compiler, and then we'll concurrently run, and let's escape these quotation marks, npm run TypeScript watch, escape that one, and then we'll also run the command npm run light. Let's give this command a shot. npm start. You can see the commands running there. Our browser started, and the app is started as well. That was a little bit of setup where you might have gotten turned off from setting up and getting to the Angular 2 parts. Just bear with me here. We're going to talk next about the TypeScript benefits and actually show off what TypeScript can offer us. I think this is going to be a really cool part where you can see that TypeScript isn't just a burden on our app. It actually is going to help us while we're building things.